Welcome back, traders! Today, we're going to be getting into stock ticker NIO. So welcome back, you filthy degenerates. We're going to be getting into Nio Stock. Yes, you heard that right, Nio Stock. And we talked about how important it was to cross the $7 level. You can see on my right side of the screen here, this thing is volatile today, up 2.5% today. And looking at this chart on the monthly time frame, one of my favorite ways to look at the stock market, you can see that you are in the process of doing something that I thought impossible on this stock. Something that I've never seen ever happen in the stock market is a 3 white soldiers chart on a monthly time frame. It's a very rare occurrence. And you are still, as of half past a freckle, you are still waiting on the Fed's monetary policy decision or decision based off monetary policy. Are they going to cut 0.25? Are they going to cut 0.5? Or are they going to keep them steady? That is the big question here today. So make sure to stay to the end of the video because we're going to cover Nio Stock pretty in depth today. And I wanted to go over my long-term bullish thesis, my long-term more drawn-out bullish thesis. And I don't know, there's not really a whole lot pointing bearish here on Nio at the current juncture. But there's two different ways I could see this play out. And I did mention in previous videos that I could see this thing being almost an inverse head and shoulders here. And I think there is still an argument to see that. It's going to be very, very predicated based off of how you react to this what's the level exactly? The 771 level that is going to be key in telling you what you do next. So we're watching the historic landmarks on this chart and how the price action today is responding to those things, right? These are things that I look for as a trader, is I want to see how price is responding to previous resistance. And that will help you identify kind of how the stock may move in the near future, right? But you can see here three white soldiers, although if you do go to a smaller time frame, you do have 3 rising valleys. 1, 2, 3, baby. And that is, I just can't explain how excited I am to see this play out. And how excited I am that you could very well go to 950 before finding an area of reversal here. And in case you're wondering what this red line is, this is literally just your price target from the bull flag breakout. That takes you to the 200-day EMA on the weekly time frame. I think it is very, very good technical confluence that you're seeing price targets match up with where indicators lie right now. And that's what I would bet if I was betting on a possible area of rejection. I would bet there personally. And I think once you find that resistance, it'll be a matter of finding this 50 that's curling up at a dramatic rate, because Nio has been on an absolute tear recently, just Thanos snapping shorts into the dirt. If you're able to break this 771 level, that you should slingshot straight into this 200-day EMA. And that is going to bring the 50 up at a much more dramatic rate, causing you to get the first bullish cross on the weekly since September 4th of 2020. Now, on this stock, you've only had 2 crosses. So this would be the third technical cross of the 50 and the 200-day EMA on the weekly time frame. And if you saw that, right, because you're in no man's land, you're trading between the two right now. Eventually these things come to an end. And I'm very curious to see what happens next, right? I think you eventually come up to tap this, and then this will cross. And what happens when that crosses is you get to a very important time and a very important historical time on this chart that you will cross above $10 for the first time since back here and back here. You really have not been able to pop above this level with any kind of strength. But if you saw a golden cross, guys, the difference between doing it here and doing it here was one, you got a death cross, one you got a death cross, and the other you got a bullish golden cross on the weekly time frame. If you see that same kind of momentum here, I anticipate that you would see this gap fill at $27. I have no idea how Nio Stock is going to go from $3 to $27. All I know is that it is possible, but you guys should be warned of the dramatic volatility that could pursue before that, right? I can very well see this as some kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern. And if that was the case, right, you would make some kind of double top here at 771. And then you may come down and fill all of these gaps into this uptrend, right? And find a bottoming formation into this uptrend that would look something along the lines of this, right? And then maybe you finally get your move. Maybe it's fundamental. Maybe it's earnings. I don't care what it is. All I do care is, though, that the setup is potentially there if you see a rejection. And that's what I want to caution you guys, that it is not always up, right? It's going to depend heavily on what the Fed does today. And it's going to depend heavily on how the stock reacts to critical resistance. But what I do know is that Nio has been on an absolute tear. So much so, like we've coined the phrase "can't stop, won't stop" Nio stock. It's quite hilarious because that's a GameStop phrase, but this thing is opening and closing above resistances like it's, I don't even know. I don't even know, honestly. The rate in which your 50 is climbing is so violently rapid. It's crazy. But if I go to the monthly time frame, this is what I wanted to talk to you about today. Is on the monthly time frame, we'll delete that possible thesis. You are printing a 3 rising, geez Louise, 3 white soldiers pattern, right? So 1, 2, 3. If you close at this resistance at 771, it is very, very likely that you see this 3 white soldiers pattern come to fruition. And I pulled it up just because I was curious what the possibilities would look like and what I should look for as a trader, right? And I don't always recommend doing this. I would probably recommend looking back to the charts history of last time you got this on the monthly time frame, which was here, right? 1, 2, 3. You saw a hammer candle and then continuation. This is more of a classic 3 white soldiers of where this is your true reversal point in which you're seeing 1, 2, 3 from the bottom and near the all-time low. 1, 2, 3, and then I would anticipate, right, some kind of I would anticipate some kind of consolidation afterwards, maybe something like this, right? 1, 2, 3 white soldiers pattern, doji, doji, doji. Consolidation, doji, into the ultimate reversal that takes you above $10. It's going to be important. It's going to be very, very important for Nio stock in general to find some kind of healthy consolidation to confirm that this is the reversion in the stock's price, that you can hold these levels for an elongated period of time. And this stock really does. Like what's going to matter is what this stock does at these overbought levels now that you're coming into the bull zone in the RSI. What's going to matter is how you hold when you're up here, because that's going to give you the courage, confidence, and conviction to send this thing higher. The 3 C's, as I would say. I know there's the 5 P's, right? Does anyone know the 5 P's? Anyone know the 5 P's? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. The 3 C's, courage, confidence, and conviction. I do believe in Nio stock at these levels. However, you got to prove it. You got to react in a positive manner once you get up to 771. And a couple of indicators that I'm looking at here on the monthly time frame, the Bollinger Bands, this was part of our thesis originally as well, that you were going to come above this mid band and begin to squeeze the tightest Bollinger Bands you've ever seen on Nio stock's history. You zoom out, right? When in doubt, zoom out. You can see the previous tightest Bollinger Bands were either back here or back here. You did see minor size moves, but you've seen monstrous moves now. And it's very compelling to me that you're actually getting the monthly Bollinger Bands to begin to expand, and you are above the lines, the price of the upper Bollinger Band sitting at 680.09. Typically, price does not stay outside of the Bollinger Bands. Most price action happens within. But when you go on these monster runs, that is when price is like riding the worm, right? You have the opportunity to do something like that here. And you are squeezing the Bollinger Bands right now. That is insane for upwards volatility. And that was our thesis, right? And it's nice to see that our thesis is truly coming to fruition here on Nio stock. Let's go to the weekly time frame. You can see that you left this gap back here at 632. I'd like to see us fill that gap at some point because it is on the weekly time frame. It is one of your only 2 weekly gaps. Besides for the one at 27, you have the one at 632. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nio stock reacts here with the Fed coming out very shortly here in about 30 minutes to drop the headline news we are waiting for today. It's going to be very, very interesting, guys. Going to the daily time frame, you can see you're beginning to bounce back here, 727 on Nio stock. And volume still trading pretty flat. I think the rest of the market is just waiting to see what happens today. But you did get a green MACD cross here on the daily time frame. Bullish for short-term continuation into 778, right? Or which 774, 778. Around that high 770s range. Let's cover the 4-hour just for a second here. You are bouncing off of the 9-day EMA, continuing your breakout, and also bouncing off of prior resistance at $7.08. We zoom out here and we can see $7.08 has been a stingy range to hold, and you are testing above it right now, which is inherently bullish. There was just one thing I wanted to cover on the hourly chart on Nio, and that was, you are cooking. Yeah, I would expect some kind of reversal here. You're very overbought. You're up to 85 in the hourly RSI. Man, this thing is just absolutely nasty right now. Last time you were this high in the RSI, you did see a pretty mean reversion from, what was it? $6.58 all the way down to $6, and then you made a higher high while the RSI was low and low. I'm yawning. It's a boring day. We're waiting. It's actually a very exciting day, but sleep is getting up to me. Go to the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame. I got so many lines on this chart. Jeez Louise. Let's delete some. So the weekly time frame, you're still doing something that's inherently very bullish, right? You've made a higher high on price and the RSI in the weekly time frame while confirming your breakout and your bust of this RSI downtrend, the retest was absolutely Picasso or Bob Ross, whatever you want to say. It painted a beautiful chart for bullish continuation here, in which you popped into the bull zone, tested, and then are making a higher high. I do believe in this test of 774 or 778, the high 770s. And then I will continue to cover what this stock does once it hits that range, right? But breaking above it, let me just be clear. Breaking above 770 takes you to your next extension here and your next horizontal resistance at 961. And oh my, how coincidental, right? 961 happens to be aligned with your weekly price target and your 200 daily or your 200-day EMA on the weekly time frame. That is, oh boy, what a coincidence. I'm moving this down. This golden resistance right here, that's it, guys. That is your point to cross. That is insane resistance. But once you bust that resistance, guys, the story of Nio will become very clear to me that you are looking to go up to 16. Now above 16, you're looking to go up to 22. And above 22, guys, you're filling the gap with 27. So this thing could potentially continue to stair step, but do not be afraid, Nio holders, if this thing makes an elongated inverse head and shoulders and tests the all-time uptrend that got you out of your all-time low or your local lows, right? Very, very possible thing to happen. And I would not be surprised to see it happen. I would be absolutely smashing the buy button, but that's just me. It's not financial advice. Do not do or act on what I say. I am just a guy trying to update stocks, trying to paint pictures, do line. No, that sounds bad. Trying to chart lines and see if these stock tickers follow the lines, because so often do they. It's pretty comical, actually, how you have these stocks within the S&P 500 and within America's most powerful companies follow basic TA. So that is all I have for today on Nio, guys. We are still waiting on the policy update from the Fed. I am as bullish as I've ever been as a meme stock or risk on asset investor. And we're going to see if that conviction, right? If that conviction, confidence, and what's the third C? Courage, conviction, and confidence stays true, guys, because it all looks really good. And it could be a bear or a bull trap. We're just going to have to wait and see. I will continue to update you guys every single day. So make sure to slap that subscribe button because I am not going anywhere. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you guys and your families. Make sure to get outside today, touch grass. It is a beautiful day to be alive. Thank you guys all. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.